Welcome back to the Institute for Swedenborg Studies at Bryn Athyn College. Hi, I'm Reverend Grant Schnarr, Professor of Religion, and this course is on the afterlife. This session we're going to be talking about a lot of things: the spiritual sun, light and warmth, space and time, and even changes of state in heaven. Ready to go? Let's roll. One of the really interesting things Swedenborg talks about when he describes heaven is a spiritual sun. Let me read about that. It's in Afterlife, page 80. Even though neither this world's sun nor anything derived from it is visible in heaven, there is a sun there. There is light and warmth. Heaven's sun is the Lord. The light there is the divine truth, and the warmth is the divine good that radiate from the Lord as a sun. Everything that comes into being and manifests itself in the heavens is from this source. So what Swedenborg is describing is, we can write a picture of a sun. And what he says is that the heat from that sun, we'll say it's right in the center, is divine love, is love. And that what comes forth from that sun is divine truth, or wisdom, love and wisdom coming from the Lord as this light in the other world. And we can just imagine if this was heaven, and I just always draw stick figures for the students. That's about as good as I can do. Just one more. It shines down on all equally with that love and with that wisdom is received by the angels according to their ability to receive that light and love from God. Now, one thing I find interesting is, why does he call it a sun? And, do you think when he was there was some angel told him, I want you to call this the Son of Heaven? I don't think so. I think it's more like he's a scientist. He's looking at this being of light, or this light, and he says, how can I describe this best? Well, it's just like the sun of this earth. So he found a perfect analogy. That's my opinion, but I just think that, the idea that it's a spiritual sun, when I first heard about that as a kid, it always struck me in high school when we were learning about this, that Swedenborg is just so perfect, in the way he does science. Like, well, there's a sun here, there's a sun there. There's nature here, reflects some kind of thing in heaven, da-da-da-da-da-da. So when I was a senior in high school and I was studying this work at the Academy of the New Church, when I came to this part where he talks about a spiritual sun, at that time I thought to myself, come on, Swedenborg, can't you come up with something better than that? This is just too pat. It just works. It's too easy. I think that's probably just what a high school student would tend to think. Well, what's really interesting about this is right after getting out of college, the book Life After Life by Raymond Moody became a bestseller. And I said right after college, I meant right after high school. Coming into college, we took a look at this book. And when I read Moody's description of a light in heaven, where people are saying it radiates pure love and understanding or wisdom, it was like, wow. Something so obscure that Swedenborg said, or I believed was so obscure a year ago, suddenly fit with everything that people were saying about this being of light. It's like, right away I went to myself, I got to give Swedenborg a chance here. Benefit of the doubt. Let's hear what else he has to say. And that started my journey, I think, really started my journey in pursuing Swedenborg and ending up wanting to teach what Swedenborg says. So listen to this. This is what the people say about the being of light. First, Moody. What is perhaps the most incredible common element in the accounts I have studied, and is certainly the element which has the most profound effect upon the individual, is the encounter with a very bright light. Despite the light's unusual manifestation, not one person has expressed any doubt whatsoever that it was a being of light. Not only that, it is a personal being. It has a very definite personality. So think about this. It's not simply something shining down, but if Swedenborg is relating to this as a way, or the major way God shows himself to us, Think about the personality of God. Think about the love that he gives to us, the understanding. Think about him having a direct communication with us, a human communication. But what I mean by that is divinely human, as we are created in his image and likeness, the perfect divine humanity speaking to us as his children. It's just a beautiful thing, a definite personal being of light. And so another thing that someone says, Moody says this: the love and warmth which emanate from this being to the dying person are utterly beyond words. And he feels completely surrounded by it and taken up in it, completely at ease and accepted in the presence of this being of light. Moody documents one person as saying exactly what Swedenborg is saying. It's a light of perfect understanding and perfect love. Well, that blows my mind, that Swedenborg's description of what he calls a spiritual son seems to be the exact description of what these people are seeing, which they call a being of light. So Swedenborg says again in his work, True Christianity, it is much the same with the Son of Heaven, which radiates divine love as heat and divine wisdom as light. In one other place, God is love itself and wisdom itself, and these two constitute his essence. Now, I want to add one more thing that Swedenborg talks about in the afterlife. He says, yes, for everybody, he appears as this being of light. But he also says that sometimes he appears to the angels as if one of them. He says in angelic form, which basically means they're all angels there, so it means in human form, but almost talks about, but there's this special glow around him so people know who he is when he's talking to them. I love that idea because in some ways, just having a being of light up there overlooking all of us is in some ways impersonal compared to Christians' belief that they have a personal relationship, with the Lord, that they can talk to the Lord, that they can ask questions, that they can be with him. And so Swedenborg does say, yes, he appears as this light, but also talks about the idea that he also can appear with the angels and converse with them about life. That's cool. So just to reiterate, what we're talking about is Swedenborg talks about the Son of Heaven being love and truth coming down to people as heat and light. And people who have the near-death experience talk about this same being of light shining onto them love, which is heat, and understanding, which is light. That's what they both say. And, after studying this for a while, I think it's pretty amazing and just might be what we're going to see.